Welcome back to another edition of the Roll Tide Rewind Draft Breakdown Series. If you've missed our first few episodes, we've done Evan Neal, we've done Jameson Williams, we've done John Mechie. Today we're going to be breaking down Christian Harris, switching over to the defensive side of the ball. Probably going to be Alabama's first defensive player drafted, so definitely wanted to make sure that we touched on him, broke down some of his film, and kind of what all the scouting experts out there are saying about his NFL future. So we've gone through and picked out some of his highlights, and we're going to go ahead and break these down now. So, Thomas, as our X's and O's guru, why don't you start us off here with this play from the SEC Championship? What do you like about this one?
I remember this play kind of jumped off my screen a little bit because Harris has been a 3 year starter for Alabama, and I noticed a lot of improvement from each year. But this year, I felt like he improved a lot on quickness and most importantly, like instincts, being able to recognize where the ball's going to go on each play. And on this play, he does a good job, I think, watching the guards. All both guards pull, and as soon as he notices it, he goes sideline to sideline and delivers a big hit on James Cook. And this is Georgia's second play of the game, so it was good to start off right for Christian Harris.
Yeah, and for a guy who, I mean, maybe is a little bit undersized by NFL linebacker standards, I think he was like 6 foot and a half an inch and 226 at the NFL Combine. To see this power here where he's knocking over a similar caliber prospect. James Cook will probably go late day two, early day three in the NFL draft. So, just a little bit behind Christian in terms of their draft kind of projections now. But to see him be able to knock him over and play with a little bit of power there is really nice. It shows that he's got that potential when he can build up a little bit of speed. So that's definitely nice to see from him.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous speed as well from Christian Harris. He's a super fast guy, as we'll kind of touch on later. But there he flat out outruns James Cook to that spot. He's coming from further away and still beats him into the hole. That's a fantastic job.
Yeah, that's really nice there. Next, we've got two nice plays here from the LSU game this past year. First, he starts out and does a really nice job picking up this screen. You can see the recognition there. He almost gets to that, who's that? Ty Davis Price, guys. Almost gets to that running back before
I
the
think so.
ball even gets there. So that's something we'll see in the scouting report as well, and we'll get to that later. But the being able to pick up screens and diagnose those quickly is something that we've seen mentioned and that other scouting experts have picked up on. I like the physicality there too. He's not just, he's trying to knock the guy over. He's not just getting in his way. That's nice aggression there and good acceleration to get past the blockers too.
Yeah, I like that he's not going for the interception, he's going for the hit. I like
Yeah,
that mentality from the linebackers.
for sure. And later on in the same game, we've got somewhat of a similar play down in the red zone. Thomas, walk us through this one. What do you like about this play?
I mean, it's kind of not necessarily similar to the Cook play, but the good recognition here and being able to get off block and make a good open field tackle against Ty Davis Price, who I think not like the best running back in the world, but I think he's a pretty solid running back. And just all the good linebackers I feel like in the NFL, like they're obviously not just fast, they're obviously strong. They can pop off the blocks and make the plays, and I think Christian does a really good job here.
Yeah, the recognition was what I was going for with the similar aspects of these plays. This one obviously not a screen where he has to sniff it out and recognize it, but just being able to, one, recognize where the play is going, kind of reading the blocking scheme, and then two, having the athleticism to get out there and make a nice tackle. I thought this was a nice highlight play from him, especially down in the red zone. Being able to wrap up guys when it really matters, first and goal in a one-score game, 8 minutes left in the game. That was really key. So this was a really nice rep from him.
He also covers a lot of ground here. He starts on the opposite side of the line and ends up making the tackle on the very opposite side.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't get there, if he gets blocked by that guy there, I mean, Battle has a chance at him, but I don't know. I mean, that if Harris doesn't get there, then it lets Davis Price pick up a little more momentum, and then I mean, I don't think he gets in for a touchdown. I think Battle and a couple other guys kind of would team up to make the tackle, but I think Christian getting out there and knocking him down right at the line of scrimmage definitely saved a few yards. And then going to the Alabama LSU game a year prior, obviously Christian Harris being from Baton Rouge, these games probably meant a little more to him than most other regular season games. So again, we'll look at a highlight here from a year prior, back in 2020 against LSU.
I think this is kind of similar. Just he gets off a block and makes and I this is one of my favorite tackles he made. He like covered a lot of ground really fast and just snatched him down. It was a really good play.
I want to preface what I'm about to say by saying I'm not comparing Christian Harris to this player I'm about to mention, but this play reminded me of him, and that's Reuben Foster. Reuben Foster made a ton of plays like this during his time at Alabama where he kind of quickly recognizes what's happening, knifes through the blockers, is able to, if a blocker just gets a hand on him, he just kind of runs right through it. The blocker doesn't really slow him down much. And then just a textbook tackle. I mean, while you're accelerating, he's not letting that running back dish contact onto him. He's dictating his will and he wrestles him down aggressively. I think this is really nice. I think this is one of the best plays that we see from him. Just so
Definitely.
efficient, like as soon as that ball snapped and handed off, he's there. I mean, before that running back can pick up any momentum at all, Christian Harris is there to knock him down.
Yeah, I remember that's Harris's sophomore year. I remember going into the year, everyone was hyped up about Dylan Moses returning, but I felt like Christian Harris was the best like middle linebacker on the team. I feel like he had vastly outplayed Dylan Moses that year.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to go down the Dylan Moses rabbit hole, but man, he could have been a really special player and just terrible injury luck, man.
Mhm.
He could have been
Hmm.
really, really good. One of the best linebackers to come through Alabama. But his fellow Baton Rouge native looks like he's going to have a shot at a much better NFL career. So hopefully Dylan Moses can experience that vicariously through Christian Harris if he can't experience it for himself. What is this one again? Oh, yeah. And then sticking with that LSU theme, there's a lot of highlights against LSU in here. This one's a little different where he's not making a play in the run game. This one, he's actually showing off his athleticism and making a play on the ball in the pass game on third down. So this, again, a really important, really important play that he makes here. And he doesn't get the interception, but he causes the interception that Jalen Armour Davis ends up getting there. So again, we talked about the recognition too. Coverage isn't one of his strong suits in the eyes of a lot of people in the scouting world, as we'll see. But I thought this was a really nice rep. Again, good recognition, reading what that three-man bunch is doing. Picks up number 10 there, who's a 6'2", 200-pound wide receiver. So that shows you the athleticism for Christian to be able to cover him, and then the athleticism to make a play on that ball. And we'll get a replay here in a second.
Yeah, I bet Alabama fans would I think about that James Cook wheel route, 80-yard touchdown in 2020 that Christian Harris was guarding him on. But I felt like he made a lot of improvements in coverage this year, and this is a play that kind of shows why he sticks with the guy, makes good timing on the punch on the ball, and makes a player like Armour Davis, who's it was another pretty solid player, makes a play on the ball.
Yeah, for sure. You had to bring up that James Cook play, huh, Thomas?
I know I'm not the only one that thinks about it.
Oh, it's seared into our minds. Don't we all remember that for sure. But yeah, I mean something that Christian can work on for sure, but this was a really nice rep. So the potential's there. And even on that play where on the James Cook touchdown, it's not like Christian was completely burned on the play. Like he had the athleticism to get all the way downfield. I think he's just, not used to having to make a play on the ball that far downfield and kind of panicked and mistimed the jump there. So definitely some tools to work with, hopefully getting to improve his pass coverage as he moves into his NFL career. And then the final thing we wanted to show in the film is just how he can be used in a lot of different ways. Another thing we'll see in the scouting reports and that definitely shows up on film with how Alabama used him is just the pass rush ability. Maybe not necessarily as like an edge pass rusher, but just as a blitzer and here we'll see on a stunt going around the edge. you can see that they recognize what they have with him, the kind of athleticism and acceleration that he has. So the fact that this rush is really designed for him tells you how Pete Golding and Alabama's defense kind of view him. With Dallas Turner and Fedarian Mathis both going inside, that creates a space for Christian to kind of turn the corner there and go get the sack on Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, I feel like you can, like you said, we can use Harris in a lot of ways, and I think NFL teams will look into that because he can't just he doesn't just play middle linebacker. He can line up variety along the front seven, and it's like I said, it's a great study. NC starts on the left side of the line, head up to the guard, ends up going around the left tackle, and ends up making the sack along with Will Anderson there.
Yeah, and you don't call this play for him if he's a bulky 250-pound middle linebacker, right? Like you
Mhm.
call this play specifically for a guy you know has the burst and acceleration to get around that edge.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, you're just kind of wasting you're just wasting the rush there. You're calling an exotic rush for no reason. You're not putting your players in the best position to get after Desmond Ritter there. So they call that specifically because they know that Christian's the guy for the job. So again, that tells you how they view him, and probably gives you a window into how scouting departments across the league are viewing him as well. Plus, I mean, he's a dynamic athlete. He played corner in high school, which is kind of crazy for a guy of his size, but played corner, played wide receiver, played some tight end, was even a returner. So again, that just shows you a guy that's played all those positions and is also able to play linebacker at a high level, shows he has a lot of versatility. And if he's able to get with a creative defensive play caller in the league, they could do some really interesting things with him. And then Thomas, I'll let you take this one.
I like intro and everything.
Yeah. Hold up, I'll pause
Okay.
it. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
So in the last play, we show how you can use Christian Harris and stunts. Well, here's just a simple blitz, and it ends up being a run play here. But as you can see, the quickness and the aggressiveness, Christian Harris is already in the backfield, like lightning fast, and the pulling guard has zero chance of stopping Christian Harris there. And he kind of at the beginning, it looks like he's going to kind of outrun the play, and Matt Corral's going to get underneath them. But just an impressive tackle there, gets his left hand wrapped around Matt Corral and just yanks him to the ground. So, and that was Alba had a string of a few plays in a row to end the half, and that was a good tone to end the half on, up 28-0, and ending with that play right there. It's a really good play.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good tone setter kind of way to, not that they really needed to grab the momentum back, but just to kind of put a stamp on a dominant first half. That's a really nice highlight there before they go into the locker room for halftime. And that tackle pulling across the formation just just underestimates him. I mean, it's clear that Christian being able to get the jump there on the snap, he's already kind of moving forward at the snap, and that tackle just has no chance. Right there, he's pretty much screwed. And like you said, Thomas, it's good change of direction and awareness by Harris as well to be able to turn around and get a hand on Corral and bring him down. So there's our look at the film. We showed you, I think, 7 plays there of what Christian Harris can bring to an NFL defense. So now let's see what one of the experts says. Lance Zierlein of NFL.com gives Christian a 6.27 grade, which means he will eventually be an average starter in the league. One of the things that really stuck out to me here is the comparison that Lance gives him, and that's Devondre Campbell, who, kind of was just kind of an average linebacker, not an elite player by any means, but was a solid starter for, I believe, your Falcons, right, Thomas, for the first several
Yes, he
years of
was.
his career.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so I mean, just kind of an average player. But then this year for the Packers, Devondre Campbell became a first team All Pro out of nowhere. So that's definitely an encouraging comparison to see for Christian Harris to be this year's first team All Pro inside linebacker as well. And so as far as where Christian Harris stacks up with the rest of the draft class, this 6.27 grade that Lance Zierlein gave him puts him right at about 60th in the class. So maybe like a round 2 or round 3 type player. But then Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network put him at number 39 on his big board, and Jeff Legwold of ESPN has Christian at number 44. So we could even see him potentially go maybe even early second round based on those projections. What else sticks out about this scouting report here, guys, about his combine numbers, and then we'll get down to the strengths and weaknesses here in a minute.
That 40-yard dash sticks out to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
4.44
4.44
is it's ridiculous for a linebacker. That finished second at the combine among linebackers, only behind Troy Anderson from Montana State. 4.44 is absolutely flying as a linebacker, and it's not just testing speed; it's tape speed too. We saw it in those plays. I mean, he was so fast in every one of those plays we showed earlier.
And just for context, Justin Jefferson at his combine ran a 4.43.
Oh, that's crazy. So he's about as fast as arguably the most promising elite young receiver in the league right now, despite having, what, at least 15 pounds on him. I don't know how much Justin Jefferson weighs, but he can't weigh more than 210, and Christian's 226. So, yeah, that tells you all you need to know about speed and athleticism that he has. What about the strengths and weaknesses here, guys? Here's what Zerline has to say, kind of the in-depth breakdown of Christian's game. What do we think here? Anything stick out?
The big strength I see when watching him is just the raw athleticism. I think he's an incredibly athletic prospect, and the numbers bear that out. There's a site called Relative Athletic Score that digs into the numbers, especially from the combine, and compares them to all other players to play a similar position in the past. He ended up grading out as a 9.04 out of 10, which is very high. And the
Yeah.
main thing that knocked him is the size, which makes sense. I think the Devondre Campbell comp is really, really solid because Devondre was another guy who's very undersized coming out of, I believe it was Minnesota, correct? Is that right?
I believe so.
Couldn't tell you, but I'll
Yeah.
take your word for it.
Yeah. He was an undersized guy, but he could fly around the field. He was very, very quick. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's what Christian Harris does the best.
I like the experience aspect, like the 3-year starter for elite program. I don't know if people
Yeah.
remember, but like the reason Christian Harris started his freshman year were because Joshua McMillan tore his ACL and Dylan Moses tore his ACL. So immediately as a true freshman, he's thrown into Alabama's defense as the signal caller, and that's kind of rough when you first get on campus and they're telling you you're going to start a middle linebacker for the most elite program in the country. And seeing him grow as a starter, like for freshman year there were some hiccups. Sophomore year, I felt like like I said, I thought he was the best linebacker on the team or best middle linebacker. Then this past year, obviously Henry To'o comes in. He's a very talented player, but I thought they complement each other very well, and he progressively got better as a player.
I agree about that pairing, about pairing Christian Harris with Henry To'oTo'o was a really effective pairing. And one of the reasons I thought that worked so well is because they kind of fed off each other, and they were a good balance because one's strength was the other's weakness. Henry maybe isn't the most dynamic athlete, but is really smart and is seldom out of place, whereas Christian is super athletic, as we've talked about. And maybe even Lance says here, kind of the instincts and field vision can be a little bit suspect at times. So they really fed off each other, and I thought that was a great duo. And then you got a quote here from a personnel director for an NFC team that he's a little less instinctive and less physical than they're used to seeing from an Alabama linebacker. Obviously, that's a high bar. There have been a lot of really good ones, but I think there's a lot of upside with Christian too. I mean, these past Alabama linebackers have been elite linebacker prospects coming out of high school. And that wasn't really the case with Christian. He was a good prospect, but you were kind of betting on the athletic upside because he hadn't played linebacker before getting to Tuscaloosa. So since he's only played the position for 3 years, I think he's got plenty of room for growth as well. So that, makes me more encouraged about what he could eventually become at the NFL level.
Yep.
And speaking of which, Cole, you're our resident NFL draft expert here in terms of where these guys may end up. So what do you think? Where could we see him end up? And do you have any team fits in mind where you think he could really flourish if he ended up with that particular team?
Yep. So just about everything I'm seeing is pointing to him being taken off the board in the second round of the draft. I've never seen him going in the first, but I think he's very solidly cemented in as a second round pick. Some fits that make sense to me. The first one is the Saints. The Saints, it seems like they always need linebacker and they always neglect that position. They have Demario Davis in the middle, but he's starting to get old. He's been a really good player for him, but I think he's 32 now, somewhere around there. And then another linebacker they have, Zach Vaughn. They drafted him a couple years ago. He's really struggled through 2 years. So I think Christian Harris can come in immediately and play one of the three linebacker spots. And then they also have Dennis Allen, who just got promoted as their head coach, but he's a very, very good defensive coordinator. I think he would really use Christian Harris well. And the other one I wanted to mention is the Chargers, another team where their head coach Brandon Staley was the defensive coordinator for the Rams. He's very good about moving people around and getting the most out of them. Um, I think we mentioned it so far today. Christian Harris is probably one of his best attributes is his ability to rush the passer, and I think Staley and that staff would really be able to get the best out of him there. They drafted Kenneth Murray in the first round a couple years ago, who's really struggled through a couple years. Um, I think, and they were 30th last year in run defense as a team. The Chargers were, so I think that would really help. They've shown a big emphasis on improving that defense in this offseason. I think they could do a great job by taking Christian Harris in the second round.
I could see that for sure. And the Saints would be kind of a home game. I don't know how close New Orleans is to Baton Rouge exactly, but I'm sure he'd like to get back closer to home in Louisiana. I think that'd be a good fit.
It's very close. It's about an hour away.
Okay, yeah.
Would love
For
to
me,
throw in my. Oh, sorry, James, you go.
no, I was gonna say one of the teams that sticks out to me is the Steelers. They've kind of ever since Ryan Shazier had that really rough injury, career-ending injury, they've kind of struggled. Devin Bush was a first-round pick, and he hasn't really panned out. So I think he'd be a good fit. The Steelers pick at number 52 in the second round, and they kind of have that history of rugged defense, and I think he could be a good fit there. They seem like the kind of team. I mean, they're so well coached. They're so good at developing talent. I feel like maybe they will could consider taking a shot on his athletic upside and seeing if they can coach him up a little bit, kind
Mhm.
of improve those instincts and field vision that we talked about. So I think that'd be a good fit as well.
Yeah, the
What were you going to
Steelers
say,
were
Connor?
actually last in run defense last year in the NFL. That's something that stuck out to me.
Wow.
So I think that'd be a really great fit.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
I was going to throw my Atlanta Falcons into the mix. I don't think he would be a starter for Atlanta this year, but Deion Jones's contract is running out soon, and I feel like if Harris got time to develop, I think he could become a pretty good player.
Yeah, I like that too. Falcons pick at what do you guys have? Two second round picks? You've got
Yes,
43, I see here, and 58.
yes.
Well, really, either of those picks, you could definitely consider uh,
Mhm.
adding Christian to the mix there on defense. Well, Christian obviously has been a great player, as we alluded to, was thrown into a really tough situation his freshman year with Dylan Moses being out, Joshua McMillan being out. It was two true freshmen out there just starting side by side trying to figure it out, and he's turned into a really athletic, really key uh, piece of Alabama's defense, and I'm really excited. And hopeful that he can land with a team that is really able to help him maximize his athletic upside. So, we'll see where he goes. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back with a few more episodes to wrap up the draft breakdown series of Roll Tide Rewind. So, as always, appreciate you guys listening. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.